Welcome to Murder Island Reaction Video Episode 5, the penultimate episode. With us today, we have got my first ever arresting officer when I was a kid, Ian Seville, podcast coming soon, with his daughter Jay.
Hello.
So, proper crime family here. And just, if you're not familiar with Murder Island, quick recap. We've got the victim, Charlie, arrives at the island, pregnant, ends up in a lesbian relationship with the postmistress. Postmistress has a psycho ex, Hamish, who thinks he's still with her. And Hamish is seen on CCTV footage shaking Charlie. We're thinking this is way too obvious a red herring, unless they're going to make it so obvious a red herring that they're going to have him, Hamish, be the murderer anyway, because it's going to throw everybody off by being so obvious. That's one theory we've had over these series of videos. And what were you saying about the landowner, Ian? 30 years in the police, including in my hometown, Ian.
Yeah, I'm glad you've invited me because you obviously know my success rate at murder mystery evenings. 100%. Failure.
He is terrible.
Seriously.
Jay said,
Seriously.
just to go against whatever you say and we will get this right.
I would, yeah. Literally, any programs we watch, like, any sort of crime TV drama things, he will always get it wrong. Always.
That's my street cred down, isn't
And
it?
me and my mum's really good at it. Mum always guesses like half an hour in, she'll go, they did it. I'm like, shut up and whatever, and then we'll waste an hour of our life watching something, and she was right all along. So.
Yeah.
Whether being the key to this is being a good police officer's wife, maybe, rather than the actual police, maybe.
Have you seen who writes this?
Ian Rankin.
He's one of the most convoluted storytellers of crime novels anywhere. I've read all his books.
Do you think it's going to be a complex twist?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
You suspecting the gangster guy, what's his name, out of Scotland, Glasgow?
I'm not
Freddie,
sure.
Freddie Forrester?
Yeah.
You mentioned the red herring. What bigger red herring can you have than a drugs byline? That's going to capture your attention and drag you away from it. I reckon that whole drugs thing is a...
Who have you got your eye on?
Let's have a look. I don't know. It's hard to get away from that Hamish character with his pseudo-psychological, stupid replies. I think if I'd have been interviewing, I'd have been nailing his hands to the desk and some of our more advanced interrogation techniques that we get taught.
Jen, who are you leaning towards?
Still the primary school teacher.
The landlord's wife.
Yeah, what was her name? Sonia.
In a fit of jealousy because he is the father of the
Pregnated.
baby.
Yeah. Because they moved to the island shortly before Charlie.
Yeah.
So I reckon she was following them there. I've got a theory.
What about the
We'll
woman they
see.
were interrogating at the end of the last episode?
The Irish lady.
Yes.
She's high up there because of her
Yeah.
Catholic beliefs.
Yeah.
Remember, she was very strong with them.
There was her, the Irish lady, but there was also a woman they were interrogating, the one who blocked the land deal, was trying to block the land deal.
Oh,
Freddie.
Blondie.
Yes.
No, I don't think it's her.
Don't think it's her.
No.
Okay.
No,
my
she's
my
involved
theory
with
is
drug
it's somebody she's not particularly friendly with when you look at her reaction when she saw them in the house. What the F are you doing in my house?
Yeah.
And if that had been somebody she was comfortable with, like the postmistress, I don't think she'd have reacted like that.
What about the fact that the wound was near where she was pregnant? She got stabbed, like someone was trying to get rid of the baby.
Well, in my experience, stabbing is a very...
It's a female thing, isn't it? Stabbing.
Poison's more of a
Typically.
female thing. But
Poison.
poison, yeah. You look through the history, some of the biggest poisons in the world, in history have all been ladies.
Good grief.
Especially in the Victorian times. But it's, I don't know, more a spur of the moment.
Do you think it's because it's like, say you're face to face with someone, you can kind of distract them by talking, and then it's sort of on the level of where your arm is without, like, being really obvious coming in like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a.
That's one of the things that I've noticed about this is that we've not got much information about the weapon.
No, did they find the knife?
I can't recall that they did.
No.
One of the biggest things, I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up, but
Yeah,
having
go for
watched
it.
the interviews, do you remember the first episode where the two DIs and the detective superintendent came into the teams and said, if you'd have searched it properly, you'd have found that in the water bottle and that and that. That would never happen. You show me a DI that goes and searches. Now, that crime scene, that would have been done by a search team that we've been talking about earlier. And I've done hundreds of house searches of premises that size. And that would have taken a team of 6, possibly 8 searchers working in pairs, at least a full day, with the assistance of a scribe who would probably be the exhibits officer, the DC who's the exhibits officer, because he's got the continuity of evidence job for any exhibits. And there's lots and lots of stuff that are coming out, like that stuff that they say should have been found. Yeah, it should, but not by the investigating officers. Would have taken a full day. Nobody's searched a car yet.
Good point.
Nobody's even looked at that vehicle. I'm pretty sure I've seen something along there where she was sat in that car and it was something around. It was either quite a chunky telephone or a dictaphone.
Right.
That's not been found. And to me, that is the biggest procedural, not gaffe, not error, omission, shall we say.
Wow.
And that would have turned up a lot of evidence at a much earlier stage and probably got around a lot of these conflicts. And it's obviously been written in to be as difficult and as mystifying as possible, with no clear direction in it. But a proper search done properly by the search team officers and teams would probably have turned up a lot of stuff.
Right, we're going to commence watching it then, and at the end, Jen is going to explore the Murder Island Channel 4 hub. There is a QR code you can scan on your phone, and you can actually go in and get briefed by the detective and attempt to solve a murder yourself. It's really cool, and we want to show you how to do that at the end of this episode. So let us commence, shall we?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know, Jay, there was 4 groups of detectives of 2. There's only 2 left now.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's Richmond and Sarah, the couple, and these 2 rookie cops.
Right, okay. Are these like members of the public?
Yeah.
Went in for
Team.
something, right,
Competing.
They're whittling them down
Yeah.
rather like the
bit like
SAS
like
thing.
hunters and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple of factors that sprung to mind to me watching through it, that all right, they've been introduced, but they should have been in a lot earlier. You're talking about an incident in a pub, and it took an episode and a half for somebody to mention CCTV. That should have been in the first 10 minutes. And you slowly got to realise that the gangster guy, he's a known criminal in Glasgow. The stories have crossed a little bit. The landlord, he denied knowing the gangster when it turns out he did. Why, at an early stage, was he not on the phone to Glasgow police getting personal records of all these people? Because then you've got direct contradictions to the stories they're telling. So you can bring the people back in, get them to repeat the inaccuracies, the lies, if you like, and then say, well, what about that then? You know, you're telling us lies. So,
Another good point. Let's keep going in silence. So most cases like this, it would be a man, wouldn't it? But because it's going to have a twist on it.
It's the 21st century, you know.
I'm not so sure with the MO of the cause of death. But again, where's that knife gone? Was it in the house? I mean, you need the origins of the weapon to prove intent. If they brought it with them, it could be the difference between a murder charge and a manslaughter charge.
Premeditated.
I don't even know what I want. How can I possibly?
So the Irish woman is Logan's mum, right? She's highly Catholic, so against obviously children.
Gaelic. That's a Highland accent.
Yeah, no, she's Irish, but she's highly Catholic and against obviously what she called her. I think she called her a bit of a hussy, didn't she, last episode, for falling pregnant.
She's homophobic.
Oh, as well, yeah.
I think most of the island is.
So if Logan got her pregnant, wouldn't the mother have something to say about it? Being so highly strung.
But she got pregnant before she came to the island.
But Logan knows everyone. No, because he knows Freddie, and he's obviously Freddie handed him that 20 bob, didn't he, that time?
Logan doesn't like he's got the life in him.
I know.
Well, that could make him the unlikely suspect.
The unlikely suspect, but his mother did it out of
Yeah,
prevent
he's
him from
floating
becoming
away
to a
gently in
father.
the background, isn't he?
Yeah,
Always the quiet ones you got to look out for.
yeah, definitely.
Oh, you're all right then. These two lads, they're Southerners. One's an ex-army officer.
Yeah.
They're very Jack the Laddish.
Yeah.
But they're scattergunning off in all directions with nothing.
Did you see them in interrogation?
Yeah.
They were terrible, weren't they? They were just like so forceful.
And yet, one of the other couples was completely the other way. I noticed the two young girls who were the first to be taken off, they were asking questions and they were both doing this, both writing answers down. And they weren't watching the person they were talking out. They couldn't monitor the body language or gauge the replies and the veracity of the replies by watching the person as they gave their answer, because they both, you need to decide that before you interview somebody. Who's going to do the writing and who's going to do the
Aren't they
observations?
recording interviews anyway?
These are out in the field. you
Oh,
know.
like at home. Okay.
Pocketbook interviews,
yeah.
you could call them, I suppose.
Did you used to have to do that?
What?
Interrogations like that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What were you, the writer or the...
Well, normally you're on your own.
Oh, Christ!
They didn't spoil us with... But no, very brief spell on CID and some of the bigger jobs. There's usually... one of you did the writing. I was usually the one who asked questions.
I can imagine.
Shock. I can't believe that. You talk.
Where you get it from? Because the IVF
So you're
test...
assuming she's got pregnant by a guy, but really she could have had IVF with Kerry.
Because we think the
So there is
guy
no
could be the
dad,
killer.
But there's no doubt.
Stab her in the belly, get rid of
And
the baby.
also, as
or
well,
jealous.
Because I just watch loads of American stuff and they're always really crazy.
There's
If she's been adopted, is there, and you said this Logan's a bit like creepy peepy stalker with her, there's this like phenomenon, isn't there, with people that are siblings and separated at birth, when they meet and they're adults,
Maybe.
they become
Oh, my
infatuated
God.
with each other.
That was the blockbuster about adopted.
She's
And
got a dictaphone there, Sue.
There you go. I've seen that before.
Genetic attraction.
Because it's like some phenomenon, isn't it, when they meet when they're older? It's
Genetic
got
mutual attraction,
yeah.
something's
And it
called,
comes
yeah.
across as like an intense relationship. So
Yeah.
maybe there's that.
People
sort of
have like
twist.
left their wives and husbands.
So you
On a-
think
on
that
a
his crazy
similar vein.
mother is the
Yeah.
mother? His,
Could be.
yeah.
Could she have gone there with
Just-
the intention of finding a birth mother?
Yeah.
And he slipped it in nonchalant, like, well, I don't know if this is important, but it's obviously going to be important.
Yeah.
She's really good at that, though, compared to the difference between her and that guy then.
Yeah.
When he's like, can you tell to fill in the gaps for me,
Yeah, I
please?
think
And
those, I
she's
think
like,
those two, there's a couple of in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I hope
see,
so.
they're more personable, aren't they, when
Definitely.
they're questioning people?
Just because we're a bit in the...
Which group do you think find it first?
Hopefully, we're still here.
My money's still on
A couple.
these two.
Yeah.
Anybody who can match a flat cap and an overcoat like that.
I know. Where would you look for the dictaphone?
Anywhere in the house. You never
Yeah, it could be
assume it
anywhere,
could be
couldn't
anywhere.
it?
You just go in as a pair. You have a planned route. You don't go there. You'll have a diagram of it, a house plan. The guy who's running the search, he will allocate different teams to different rooms, and you go in and you start at one side of the room and you work your way around on a logical basis and think voids. Always think void. Like you look at that table and think, Is that solid from there to there? No, it's not. No. It's hollow underneath. You pull a drawer out, you look inside it, you rip everything out. You should take it out, look underneath it. Look inside the desk where it's come out from.
So where would be the best place to hide something? If you... Just out of interest.
You're not giving up, are you? Well,
just out of interest, you know.
people tend to put things in obvious places because you look at something that you think, well, where is the unobvious place? And that suddenly becomes the obvious place. It's a bit of reverse psychology.
Hiding in plain sight.
And you tend to keep things near to them. Then you've got control over it. You've got sight over it.
It's not just under the mattress.
No, it's a bit of a cliche. There is a search technique called Winthroping.
Okay.
And this was invented by an English lieutenant in the Irish provinces. And it was searching out IRA caches of weapons. Now, bear in mind the IRA, when they were passing on information to the teams on the ground, they would never write directions down. It was always something that could be delivered in 2 or 3 quick words that would make sense. And you would look for those 3 words, or look at the site and you think, well, where could I hide something around here? But yet give a man a description in 3 words. What are the main points of interest? What sticks up and you notice first and things like
Vent.
that. And that's a way of narrowing down such parameters. And it's called Winthroping. I once got called out. Not called out. It was in Widnes, so they didn't call me so far. There was a factory down near Spike Island that dealt in valuable metals that got brought into. Some valuable metals were stolen, but not recovered. And they couldn't find where they were. So I got called in as a local pulser and followed the track from where the scene of the crime down to where they were arrested, and just applied a few Winthrop principles. Where could I put something that big that I could see the landmarks easily and then come back to those landmarks, in daylight, and just by a couple of quick, that clump of land is sticking out, and there's a box, no, it's not there. Well, there's a bit of a headland on the corner of a wall there. That's a landmark. That's third gold there it was.
Wow.
And it's about 12 grand's worth of mercury-based metals.
Okay.
That's called Winthroping. But the only good thing Lieutenant Winthrop ever did, other than that, I think he's responsible for the death of more of his own soldiers than he was of the Irish. But I had to go to Crown Court once and explain that to a High Court judge.
Good
Theory
on
of Winthroping.
Wow.
Interesting.
That was another thing. At the house, there were photographs all over the fridge door of Charlie and the pulse mistress together. And it was obviously they're an item. And nobody saw the pictures.
Did they not?
Nope. I think he was about halfway through the next episode where they were mentioned.
That's really good. One of the things I love that empathy.
There's one other. Do you see the bit where the interview, and he was getting the usual no comment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't even fight for it, did he? Just, all right, bye.
There's a little difference between Scottish law and English law. In English law, if you get a no comment interview, you can give the person, the interviewee, what's called the special caution, and basically you can say to them that if you carry on doing no comment, the jury might be able to infer some level of guilt. Doesn't count in Scotland, that. They cannot infer guilt from a no comment interview like they can in England.
Pleading the fifth.
It's there's quite a few different
Off they
changes,
Off they go.
difference in the judicial system.
Yes.
Can you believe it? It's such a shock.
So
Did not see that coming.
They've not got the money
Definitely.
yet.
Oh, they're moaning about it now because they thought they were the greatest.
So Richmond has got to solve it now to get the 50k.
Richmond and Sarah, yeah.
Richmond and Surrey, yeah.
I reckon they'll do it.
I hope so. See, I thought it would be two couples fight till the end. And whoever solves it out of them two, but no, apparently.
It must come down to a fact of
You get
like the
so
money,
far
but
and it's really
did they
obvious.
get the money?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they won the knockout bit, but did they get the prize?
Well, it's like
Yeah.
Hunted, isn't it? Like, they've got through to the final, but do they get on the boat and win the money?
Yeah.
So
Because
it'll be
there's still
similar
one
sort of
more
thing, won't it?
episode to this, you see. So, I mean,
They've got to crack it in that one.
It's definitely between Logan and his mum and that whole adopted thing, I think. Because if you said she was stabbed in the stomach and she's pregnant, that's
Yeah.
to kill the baby, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think she's just died as a consequence of killing that baby.
because the land they were selling, which belonged to Logan's dad, it could be that the child would become an heir. There you go.
That's certainly an element with the most legs on it. If you notice, all this drugs involvement
It's kind of-
died off.
Yeah.
I said that was a big.
That's the red herring one.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want a red herring, what's better than
It's
a
everywhere.
kilo of cocaine?
Ecstasy. It didn't seem that bothered then to then walk away and come back later and kill her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm thinking he's gone home, told the mother,
Well, that's why he shook her then.
and the
maybe.
mother's took a harder line, shall we say?
Who was the guy that shook her? Was
Oh, that was
Logan?
Hamish.
Hamish. So he's well
He's
gone,
the
isn't he?
weirdo. He's
Lives in a caravan. But unless the mother got Hamish to kill her, you never know. Because they were close, because she used to go around and feed him and clean his caravan. Didn't she?
Hamish the Hired Hitman.
Maybe. It's all getting a bit confusing now.
he's too much of a sort of latter-day hippie, isn't he? He's a peace man. Let me dig me carrots and leave me alone.
Carrot crunch.
He's so politically correct, isn't he?
What do you think PC stands for?
So you think the mum then?
I don't know.
Logan's mum.
I'm all kinds of pickled now.
Well, they've
Because-
just served Logan up on a plate there, haven't they?
Yeah. And there's still another episode. If this was like the last 10 minutes of the next one, I'd be like, oh, yeah, brilliant. But no, there's more to come.
It's not Ian Rankin. It's not an Ian Rankin finish.
It's
no.
something to do
No.
with that baby, I think, because that's where they've stabbed her. I think
That's
they
what
tried
we
to
keep
kill
saying.
the baby
Yeah.
over her, and I think she's just been a consequence of that. But it's like, who would want? Unless
I don't know. I think you're thinking.
Do you reckon it could be the girlfriend? Because she thinks the baby was like someone else's that she was seeing. Because she was dead surprised when they told her.
She found the
Well,
birth.
she found
She found a
the result.
birth, yeah, before she
pregnancy
died.
test. Which
No,
I
but
was-
what I'm saying
I was
is-
trying to work out the timing of that one.
She seemed really surprised when them two told her that it wasn't the consequence of another relationship with somebody else, but it was from before she came. She was like, oh my God, is it really?
Maybe.
So do you think...
Because I thought that was a too obvious theory back in the day. But
That's what I was trying to work out. The time she'd been on the island, as opposed to the time when she took the test. If she'd been pregnant for a while, that test kit would have been back in Glasgow or wherever she came from.
But
So
you
she
don't
wanted
really
to-
find out until you're sort of between 1 to 2 months usually.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do the maths on. The gangster guy, the murder charge, it was not proven. That's another difference. Didn't mean to say he's not guilty.
Not enough evidence.
Just not enough evidence to say he's innocent. He's guilty or innocent. It's a sort of a halfway house.
And acquitted.
No, he's not. It's just
Not proven.
leaves on your file. It's something that a lot of people in Scotland have been kicking up about a lot of late, because it's almost like a stain on your character.
I'm obsessed with this CCTV.
So, what's final thoughts on that episode?
Well, number one, I think I've proved my theory about the search. They could have done away with episodes 2, 3 and 4.
It wouldn't make for good TV.
You were right
that
about the
is.
dictaphone.
Yeah.
So if they'd gone for that first, it would have been solved day 2.
Search techniques. Number 2, I think I was right about the drugs being a complete red herring. They've not mentioned that, have they? And number 3, I still don't trust Ian Rankin to put a last-minute twist in it. I've got that Liverpool DI down for doing it.
What about you, Jay?
I don't know. I'm a bit like my dad. I feel like maybe it's been lined up too perfectly. I feel like there's probably going to be
With the
another
Irish.
twist at the end, but I don't know who that would be because it's all I can think of is it is the girlfriend for some sort of like jealous, like you're having someone else's baby.
That is a really good theory.
Yeah,
And I'm being
because of
told by
where
that.
she was stabbed. Like, if you're going to kill someone, normally you'd go for, like, a lot of, like, particularly anger killings, I've heard. Not like I am a murderer. But people go for the head because that's, like, where they want to take the rage out on someone. So if they've stabbed them in the stomach, and to me she's pregnant, it seems to be an attack on the baby over the mum.
But what about the adoption theory?
I don't know, yeah. I felt like I was really confident with that. I thought I was being dead clever, but now I don't know. It feels a little bit distant from that now.
'Cause, yeah, the
but I think
baby
it
could be
could definitely
there.
be thrown in last minute, and that's why the mum's done it, because it's like brother sister. Maybe she would have the power to stop them selling that
It
land.
could still be there, that, you know. I mean, the mother could be doing it to try and, you know, she might be aware of the fact that Charlie's
Well, I'm guessing
adopted.
if she's
She was
adopted,
a real birth mother.
is she older than Logan? Do we know? Because if she's
Yes,
older than
yes.
Logan, she'd be
'Cause it's a
entitled to the say on that land if they're on about selling it, and she doesn't want to sell it. So maybe I don't
And
know.
the baby being the heir, that's one way to get rid of 2. Also, you don't know if that's her birth mother. He could have had a relationship, the fisherman who died, previous, obviously,
Yeah.
back
Yeah,
on
that was-
mainland.
Well, you should know. You've come from a family with children all over the place.
Charlie Logan's
That's for another programme.
sister.
Could Charlie's Logan's half sister could be, or full sister, or there's
think
several options.
Could be
I
that
think
dad
the
has
Just
chances of
mates.
that-
Yeah.
If we're talking about if the adoption is an element in it, I think
I just
a
can't
bit
believe
of
it was
chance of
such
being
a
full
strong
sister.
mention from the
It was
in
the
that
first thing
episode.
it was
Yeah.
the first thing the dad said as well, wasn't it? Like, I don't like it was dropped in quite early, so it's obviously
It's
you'd think
relevant
it'd
in
be
some
relevant
shape
at
or
some
form.
point. But
I won't put it past the realms of possibility for Charlie and Logan to be brother and sister.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think they're going to go no comment?
Mum will. Mum's definitely.
Logan's
She's got
gonna
that
sing.
like proper like mummitude, mood hoover. No comment. But I think Logan might go a bit
Well,
jittery
they
and over
probably
his
will
mouth a
do
bit.
now because at this stage, they wouldn't go into an interview that without legal aid, would they? And because of the situation in Scotland vis-a-vis no comments, any defence lawyer will just say no comment. But then it's up to the skills of the interrogators to
That's what I'm saying. I think
lull them into.
if they put a bit of pressure
Talking.
on that Logan, I reckon he'll say something because he's a bit of a
Yeah.
We'll sing.
bit timid, isn't he?
What about you, Sean? Who do you think?
Every single episode we've been led down the wrong path. There's going to be some crazy twist in this final one that we're totally indecipherable. But if you're watching this and you do want to solve a Murder Island murder mystery, there is now a hub. And Jen
I'm going to
is
test
going
it.
to bust out her phone, scan the QR code, and see what happens here. And if there's a link at the top of the description box below this video where you can also go to this QR code and jump on.
So it's murderisland.com.
Ooh, turn the volume up.
Oh, I've
on
got
that.
DCI Simon Harding calling me. Red button.
BFFs.
So, you're the new recruit. Well, I'm
Skip
Detective
call.
Chief Inspector Simon Harding. There's been a murder on the Isle of Hersha, and we're going to need an extra pair of hands to help solve the case. But before we do, you'll need to finish your training. We've pulled together some historic cases for you to solve.
Wow.
I'll be there every step of the way, providing the skills you need to solve the biggest mystery this island has ever seen. Good luck. You're going to need it.
Thanks, mate.
That'll keep you busy on the train.
Cool ending, thank you. So you start your training. Case 1, phone investigation. The body of Scott Wright has been found with multiple stab wounds, and we're in possession of his phone. You need to unlock it and search the phone for clues to solve the case. There's a button, investigate.
Well, that's me probably then, isn't it?
I'll set the scene.
It's very elaborate.
There's been a murder. The deceased name is Scott Wright, and he was found in the river with trauma to the head and 2 stab wounds, one in his lower back and one in his stomach. We have found his phone, which appears to be in working condition. It was discarded in a bin by the bridge. The phone is a vital piece of evidence, a window into the victim's life and death. You need to unlock it and search the phone for clues to solve the case.
Bet it's not going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, is it?
None of the
So,
above.
so if you want to join Jen in the hunt for the killer, check out the Murder Island page of the QR code link at the top of the description box. One more episode left tonight, Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. Channel 4. Thanks for joining us throughout this series of videos, and huge thank you to Ian.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Coming
much.
along. Cheers, yes.
Were you going to watch the last episode?
I'll definitely have to now. I want to know.
Brilliant.